Hello everyone, my name is Brian Wesley Marshall. I'm a 2D animator here at SCAD, and I am going to be talking about Irkalla's trial. While not an animation itself, it's actually for one of my webcomics I run. The next chapter, basically, I wanted to delve into Irkalla's past in this webcomic, Princess of the Thousand Dead. It's a world basically of 7 city-states. They warred for a time, but then they had peace, and then Irkalla's father, Uruk, took over the 7 city-states and had daughters with 7 of the queens. And one of these queens, Irkalla, Irkalla's mother, had joined with him with the Thousand Dead, which is this undead army that's basically, there's going to be a lot of bloodshed. I'm going to use the Thousand Dead and join up with Uruk and make sure the only people dying are anyone who tries to rebel against us. That way people aren't constantly dying everywhere in massive armies and stuff like that. Years later, Uruk has had 7 daughters, one with each queen, Irkalla being one of them, having Irkalla. Now, Uruk doesn't exactly, think back at home. He's constantly thinking about conquering more lands. And so to try to get him to understand that, hey, these other 6 queens want to go back to the old ways of 7 separate city-states. They're going to try to overthrow you, but you're not listening to me, so I guess I'm just going to have to sacrifice myself. Get them all into one place, distract them long enough to where we can trap them, and then most likely I'll have to die just to get it into your thick head that maybe you should do something about the 7 city-states. And that's what she does. And that's kind of the framing device for this whole little short story. Every now and then between these 3 acts I'm going to have, you're going to hear a bit from Irkalla and what she's doing while Irkalla is going over this trial. Because the whole point of the trial itself is to get Irkalla ready to rule one of these 7 city-states alongside her sisters. Because with the death of all these queens, someone's going to have to take place on that. And Irkalla needs to be like the balancing force between not only her sisters, but also between her father and the rest of everyone else, basically. Because even after this, he still wants to conquer the world, basically. And so she constantly has to make certain he's not needlessly killing people, but also at the same time making sure things at home don't, collapse in on themselves. And so there's a lot of weight on her shoulders, but that's all what this trial is about. Because before the trial, she's kind of thick-headed. She's a bit more like her father than her mother. But in the course of this short little trial of hers, she'll learn to actually, balance out so that she can, rule better. And these 3 acts are basically her entering this dark tunnel, meeting 2 djinns and undergoing a test that they have her undergo, and then meeting a guardian that will basically balance all of this, her bloodline, choices her parents make, choices she makes, what other people think of her, like her 6 siblings. And then, of course, at the end, she'll be changed, and then in her change, there'll also be, death, of her mother, and then also technically by her own hands, because part of the trial is earning this sword Namtar, which allows her to control this undead army of 1,000 strong. And it's with the raising and the lowering of this that the 6 queens that were going to overthrow the kingdom are killed. And, I have these different images to kind of show that, the title page, her meditating, her in the tunnel, the guardian, and then what Irkalla has been doing. And, that's basically how it is. It's supposed to echo what's going to happen in the present day for the webcomic, because each of her sisters represents something. She represents the army. We've got an heir who represents diplomacy. One that represents religion and law, then agriculture and commerce, and then even fornication and festivities, while also one controlling, like scholars and stuff like that. And that's basically what this whole trial thing is about. And thank you.